This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping a foot on the what? On the Knicks. We keeping a foot on the what? On the Knicks. And like the treated mass shift that I am, I'm applying what? On immediate pressure. Because pressure does what? Heat versus pipes. Let's talk about it, man. See, when Hino's Sport tells you guys a cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true telefashion, like a turkey, gobble that bitch up, dog. Let me say it again. Like a turkey, gobble that shit up. See, motherfuckers, and I get it. There's the pure beta supreme pride. True alpha extraordinaires governed by true alpha economics. They have that pride too. But when they have it against another true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics, it makes them a pure fucking beta supreme at that moment. See, what people don't understand is alpha and beta is like yin and yang. You can switch that shit any fucking time. We all can activate our fucking betas. If I'm not careful, I can fucking activate my beta, dog. And I know what my beta looks like. But I'm always in my fucking alpha. And when I'm not in my alpha, I quickly swoop right back into my fucking alpha, dog. Or I talk to, you know what I'm saying, the elder statesman alpha to get me right back into that shit. But Deontay Wilder has been making a lot of pure fucking beta supreme moves. One of the biggest pure fucking beta supreme moves he made was letting the LDBC advise him, man. That is the biggest, most ridiculous pure fucking beta supreme move to ever fucking do. Let motherfuckers that don't know how to govern business affairs govern your business affairs. Let me say it again. You let motherfuckers that don't know how to govern business affairs govern your business affairs. The only motherfuckers that should be touching your shit is Al Heyman, Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Ellerby, Shelly Finkel. These type of motherfuckers, man. They the only motherfuckers that should be touching your shit. You know, anybody else outside of that circle, they shouldn't be touching you with a 2 flying foot pole. And see, Deontay Wilder got pushed into a position, and I get it. He wanted to take the stance of being that fighter that takes on the mantle of being the guy that represents the black community fan base. I get it. I understand where he's coming from. And to be honest with you, I don't fault him for that. I actually appreciate that. There are things about Deontay Wilder that I appreciate at such a high level that I'm disappointed in him because of the pay to fucking lose. It has nothing to do with everything else. I could understand the stance that you're taking, but when you take that stance, make sure you take that stance with true alpha extraordinaires governed by true alpha economics. You don't take stances like that with pure fucking beta supremes. Because pure beta supremes are like the blind leading the blind. And you know what happens with the blind leading the blind? They lead them ultimately into a fucking pure beta supreme bitch. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat telefashion. See, Deontay Wilder got sized up by Mauricio Saluiman because this is what Hino's Sport was talking about. And the prediction. See, people didn't want to believe that Hino's Sport told a cold-hearted, told a unadulterated, told a cutthroat truth telefashion that Deontay Wilder took a paid to fucking lose. That's what he did. He took a paid to lose. And he's suffering the fate of that. Now he's contemplating retirement. You know why? Because he's mentally disturbed. He's mentally shaken up. And this right here reveals what Hino's Sport was talking about when he says there's a lot of pure fucking beta supreme ways with this guy. When you let pure fucking beta supremes advise you, you let pure fucking beta supremes interview you, what happens is you are going to basically get contaminated by the pure fucking beta supreme energy. Alphas have to stick with alphas. The funny part about it is Deontay Wilder is a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics. And people are like, but how? That's an oxymoron, Hino's Sport. How? That's a conundrum, Hino's Sport. It's not a conundrum and an oxymoron when you don't activate the right activation, dog. Everybody has a yin to a fucking yang. This is for the real G's, the super real G's, and the ultimate real G's out here in these boxing streets. They get the message. They know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a yin and a yang to everything. Yin and yang is basically the Asian way of saying good and fucking bad. Just like there's a good and a bad, a yin and a yang, there's a fucking alpha and a beta. Because you can activate an alpha or you can activate your fucking beta. And Deontay Wilder a lot lately has been activating his fucking beta. This is a cracky, fucking cracky. And when I say cracky, I'm talking about crackhead. You let this high octane crackhead, dog. You let this pothead. You let this fucking crack a fiend of a distorted individual. A guy who is filled with barbiturates in his system. A guy who's hallucinated all the fucking time. A guy that gained and blow-up-shuated so much fucking weight. Dictate and determine your affairs when you were the one that got him back to where he was at. This is a motherfucker you knock the fuck out. You get him right where he's back, you give him the roller coaster effect. That's what Floyd does, man. Floyd gets you your biggest payday, but he embarrasses the shit out of you while he gets you your biggest payday. That's what you should have did to Tyson Fury. You give him his biggest payday, bring him right back to the boxing ring, but you also embarrass the shit out of his ass. And there's no fucking rematch after that. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat fashion. Now you let Tyson Fury, this cracky fucking crackhead, let you get done the fuck up. Damn near put a permanent skull in your fucking head. Got you to accept the paid to fucking lose term because Frank Warren and Bob Arum told you there would be a trilogy before the first punch was thrown in the first fight. How are we going to sit here and act like the three-pronged monster of boxing, economics, politics, and pugilism doesn't exist? See, people want to tell you boxing is a dark sport, boxing is a dirty sport when it fits their pandering narratives. He knows the sport doesn't reside in narratives. He knows the sport resides in what's called cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true telefashion. I'm a true telefashion artist, man. And I done told you guys there was going to be a time, and the time has been happening a lot lately, or it's been nigh, where you guys was hearing what you didn't want to hear, but you hearing now what you motherfucking need to hear. And it's making you hot and bothered like grits because you don't know how to deal with what you're hearing. But that's what happens when you constantly reside in the iron sharpeneth iron of truth-telling fashion. Because a man is sharpened by the iron of the countenance of his friend, dog. And what you guys have to understand, he knows the sport is in iron sharpened iron mode of truth-telling fashion. He's the ultimate truth teller on YouTube. So I come. He knows the sport comes in cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truth-telling fashion. And when I saw the Tyson Fury versus the Deontay Wilder second fight, I said, oh, this is some scripted shit. Because Deontay Wilder didn't activate the Bronze Bomber. To activate the Bronze Bomber, it requires a level of possession. See, people don't want to tell you this. This is part of the dark part of the sport of boxing. When fighters activate their alter ego, they're activating a spirit. Nobody wants to accept this. Boxers know what I'm talking about. Bronze Bomber is a spirit possession of Deontay Wilder. This is why Deontay Wilder, if you notice in the Bermani-Stavern fight, when he was out of it, the referee had to slap his ass right back into it because he had to get back into his original state of being Deontay Wilder because he was activated and possessed by the Bronze Bomber. The nicknames that fighters are given, these are their spiritual possession. So I don't want to go too deep into that shit because it's going to mess a lot of people's heads up. But remember, he knows the sport is not a regular cat, nor does he think regular, nor does he reside in regular realms. So he's not going to give you regular information. He's going to give you special because special begets special. Deontay Wilder had to not activate the Bronze Bomber. He had to not activate his spiritual alter ego because he was paid to lose so that the Gypsy King's spiritual possession can be activated. This is a script. Boxing in a lot of ways is like the WWE, man. When they give you a script and they tell you what a first fight, second fight, third fight, fourth fight, and then they go on and on and on and on and on about how long these things are going to last or supposed to be, then guess what, y'all? They're going to want this thing to have a continuum. They're going to want this thing to have a series. They're going to want this thing to have an installment of basically focusing on itself to continue to do what it does. And see, what people have to understand is Deontay Wilder accepted the pay to lose because Deontay Wilder never had a payday like that. Mauricio Saluiman knows this shit. Aram knows this shit. Frank Warren knows this shit. You got Rudy fucking Poo and Plum Plum Ring. Classic fucking Doten throwbacks. Ultra fucking fanboys with the fucking ultra fucking fanboy rhetoric. Boxing fans that don't want to acknowledge or accept this shit because they think in their peon of a fucking brain that boxing, or let's just keep it boxing, is a one-trick pony of let's just keep it boxing. No, that's not the reality of it. Boxing in of itself is a three-pronged monster. Economics, politics, and pugilism. Remember, that's a Hinosa Sport original. But in all instances, Hinosa Sports original is just basically saying this in the lamest terms. That boxing has a lot of undercurrent things behind the scenes that motherfuckers don't want to accept. Fighters tell you this shit over the years, but fighters don't get the respect of when they say it. It holds credence, it holds water, because fight fans are so deluded in their brains, and brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo headisms have taken place. And basically the 27th law of power, i.e. cultivate a cult-like following, i.e. neuro-linguistic programming, has taken place. So because they are brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads, they don't want to accept the most visceral form of cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat telefascism. They don't want to accept that Deontay Wilder took a pay to lose. They don't want to accept that the Bronze Bomber was not activated because in the script, Deontay Wilder was due to get paid. Now, it's interesting that Hinosa Sport was confirmed with this by one of Deontay Wilder's trainers that he fired. He came out and emphatically said, that Deontay Wilder was listening to people that he normally doesn't listen to. And he even went as far as to say that Deontay Wilder was acting in ways that he didn't even understand. He understands. He just couldn't go in depth. He couldn't do what Hinosa Sport is doing and really revealing it and peeling the layers of the damn onion. You guys have to understand, Hinosa Sport seer mode is flawless victory. When Hinosa Sport tells you something, it is Hinosa Sport law. It is a standard, and it will come to pass. This is why Hinosa Sport tells you guys, prophecy. You will know when a prophet comes to you, because when a prophet delivers true prophecy, it shall come to pass. That's what the good book tells us in Deuteronomy. And if prophecy does not come to pass, then it wasn't true prophecy. That means it didn't come from above. Everything that Hinosa Sport tells you, it comes to pass, because it is prophecy in of itself. The Spirit of Christ is the spirit of prophecy. So if Christ reveals something to you, then it is prophecy. And this is what Hinosa Sport gets. Ultimate discernment to see things for what they are. The Hinosa Sport discernment Spidey sense saw, oh, this is a pay to lose. So Deontay Wilder saying that he's contemplating retirement. You got to understand what's going on right now. He's dealing and suffering a lot of mental issues behind the scenes. And they don't tell you this shit in boxing because it's a dark sport. But these fighters deal with a lot of mental awareness. They deal with a lot of mental weariness. They deal with a lot of mental drain. They deal with a lot of mental issues behind the scenes. This is why a lot of them kill themselves, i.e. Arturo Gatti. You think that just happened out of coincidence? It's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, These fighters deal with a lot. These fighters go through a lot of dark shit behind the scenes. That's why they say boxing is a dark sport. Where do you think they get the word dark from? If we believe that there is a natural plane and a natural world, then there has to be a supernatural plane and a supernatural world. Where am I getting too deep for people? See, what people got to understand is Deontay Wilder was scripted. He signed and sealed on the dotted line. He basically sold his soul away in the Deontay Wilder and the Tyson Fury fight. So when Deontay Wilder is telling you he's contemplating retirement, it's because of regret. He's having a Judas regret of what he fucking did. And see, if people don't want to be honest, and people don't want to use facts over feelings, logic over bias to denote this for what it is, then let Hinosa Sport, that's bringing you that heat and that fire, and keeping the foot on the on the dicks, and keeping the foot on the on the dicks, and like the Tibetan master that he is, he's applying unlimited pressure, because pressure does it bursts his pipes. Tell you this because unlimited pressure Tibetan Mastiff style, he knows the sport is authentic and consistent from day one. So he's going to tell you the truth in its most visceral, in its most cold-hearted, in its most unadulterated, and in its most cutthroat truth-teller fashion. This is the ministry of reconciliation that he knows the sport's been given to reconciliate your brain from apostasy, a brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo-headisms, into proselytization of true and rare boxing knowledge, true and rare boxing eye tests. And you have to ask yourself what the eye test is telling you. And what is it telling you? Because he knows the sport gonna ride a little bit on this one. It's telling you that Deontay Wilder, something smells fishy in the air. Something ain't right. And when you see a man of that stature, of that mental strength, be regressed to mental weariness, be regressed to mental, basically, drainage, it tells you it's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, that he's dealing with the ramifications and the consequences of him having to take a paid to fucking lose. That's the cold party. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth-teller fashion. I keeps the foot on the whoop, Nicks. I keeps the foot on the whoop, Nicks. When it's all said and done, Deontay Wilder took a paid to lose, and now he's regretting what he did because he understands as a black fighter, once you take a paid to lose, you are extremely hard pressed to have a major comeback for this minor setback, right? That's what you would think in theory. A minor setback for a major comeback. But in this instance, this is a permanent setback with no major comeback. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth-teller fashion. I keeps the foot on the Nicks. I keeps the foot on the Nicks. P.S. Like Maya Angelou said, when a person shows you who they are the first time, believe them. So once a paid to lose was accepted in Wilder Fury 2, always a paid to lose accepted in a Wilder Fury 2. This is He Knows the Sport. Check it out.